special. First of all, white is very special. You know why? Why white is so special? Because every dirt is showing. Very important. And you have a black shirt, it might be clean at one time, but then it gets dirty and you don't even know about it. A lot of people wear this kind of color to get all dirty, but they never see it. You know? White, the holiness of white is that everything is showing. And but anyway, the whole thing of white is that it really is no color at all, right? It isn't a color. It just is. Everything which is no color is white, right? That means white is basically beyond colors, right? White is like ready to receive any color. You know? Let's say you take blue, you put another color, you already dilute the color you put on. Take something white, you put blue on, it comes blue, black. White is ready. There is something very, very deep within us which is completely ready, colorless, white. It's very, very deep. You know, it says, the prophet says, if you sin, God says, I'll make you white again. I'll make you white like snow. What is it? What is it to sin? What is it to repent? To sin is that I completely cover that little part of me, this deepest depth of me, which is completely ready, colorless. This holy essence of me, which is completely colorless, this white stuff. And when I repent, that means I'm brushing off all the dust. There's something very deep, you know, because it's so deep, you know, between me and God. And you have to realize one thing, you know, if there's trouble between me and people, there's trouble between me and God, because it's the same thing. Right? Talmud says, if you want to know your relationship to God, look at your relationship to people. If it flows freely, then you and God is also okay. If you have trouble with every person you meet, then don't kid yourself. You have trouble with God also. Because the Talmud says something very deep. Imagine you're not so good, but if you really are close to people, God says, listen, this person is top, you know. He's close to my kids. Imagine if you have children, right? He's a good friend of your children. Even if you don't like him or her so much. Good friends with the kids, you know. Got to keep him around, you know. So this is on a simple level, but on a deep level, you know, how the closest I can get to God is as close as I can get to people. If I'm open enough to get close to people, I'm open enough to get to God. Got to be colorless, especially when it comes to people. Because when I meet somebody, and the first thing I tell them, listen, I'm green, I'm yellow, I'm already making a little wall between me and them. Say I'm white. There is something very strong. You know, it's very deep. When you tell someone, listen, I'm black, they already feel a little bit offended. They say, listen, I'm yellow. Gotta have something. You say I'm white. Then they'll say I'm white too. So look at them and realize I'm white also. So the whole thing is, we were learning this morning, and just think of it all day long. You know, it's so deep. You know, God says, make me an altar of earth. You know, altar is praying. You know, praying is to come from that deepest depths of you, which has no color, nothing, untouched. Deepest depths of you. You know, sometimes we meet people, they're very holy people, and maybe that part of them which is touched by the world is holy. But they don't have this untouched part so much, it isn't showing. Then they're very sweet and holy, but it's not so much drawing. You know? There's no magnetism about it. Then you meet some people, maybe they're outside, that part of them which is touched by the world is completely rotten to the core, you know? Maybe bad, I don't know. Never. But that part, that white part of them is so strong, you know. I don't know, I feel it very much today, you know, that you know, someone asked me, what's a holy beggar, you know? A holy beggar is that person who has this untouched part of him the whole time around. Which is ready. Don't have anything yet. No color. Want to hold it maybe, brother? Let's learn something strong tonight. I don't know yet what, but... Well? Listen, Holy Borcher, you want to give me from there maybe? Give me Aleph. Can you give me? Let's show a Holy Ivan. Time tonight. What is the greatest sin in the world, you know? What is really the basis for all sinning? Lying, right? How does evil come to you? Lying, right? Kids, let's get to it because if you want to tell, you can do it tomorrow, okay? How does evil get to me? Lying, right? What does evil do to the world? Evil really doesn't do so much bad in the world, it's just lying to the world. What's happening? Look into world history, right? What were all the evil people doing to the world till they had a chance to do their evil? When they did their evil, it was already far gone. It was already too late to stop them, right? The beginning was only the lying. Because before you do evil, someone has to listen to you. I have to listen to them all. Someone's evil voice says, "Listen, brother, talk. I want you to do the greatest good deed in the world. I want you to walk out on the street and you really hate this person because it's so evil. You know you gotta hate evil, right? So evil grabs me and really, what's evil doing to me? And then I go out and kill this person, right? Because really the Spirit of the Lord was moving so much, I couldn't see this evil anymore. But where did it all begin, right? Cause lying. Therefore, Reb Nachman says, if a person always has really the holy truth in front of him, the real truth, you can't fool him. The most strongest thing in the world is just, you know, the truth is you remember what Reb Nachman said, a lie, what's the percentage of a lie in a sentence? I'm telling you now, I walked barefoot on the moon. So what is the percentage of the lie of this sentence? Very, very little percentage, because there is a moon, I'm existing, I have feet, it's fine. So that means 80% of the sentence is really true. That little part that I walked barefoot on the moon is wrong, right? So actually, if you take the sentence out of it, it's 80% true, 20% lie. And if I'm Reb Nachman says something very deep. A good liar is someone who diminishes the percentage of lie in that sentence. And maybe just one word was a lie, you know? Or maybe even just one letter. And then it looks more real. Right? So he says something very deep. What is the difference between a liar and a hypocrite? That's the whole difference. A liar is somebody who has the sentences, let's say, 20% lie. And a hypocrite is someone that's so deep, it's only one letter is a lie, right? It's not completely a lie. It's something there, you know, just doesn't go, right? Only one letter is a lie. Or maybe the way he said it is a lie. Somehow we can tell the truth, but the way we're saying it is a lie. What the hypocrite? He's telling the truth. But the way he's saying it, it's a lie. He says like this, how can you get close to God when you're lying? How can you get close to anything if you're lying? If you're on the level of lying, you're not there, right? It's not true, it's not there, right? See, we always think in terms of truth and a lie. I mean, it's not nice to lie, right? It's not a question of good and evil. Lying has nothing to do with evil, it's much deeper than that. Lie, it's not there, it's not existing, it's not real. That means if I'm living in the level of a lie, then I'm not in this world. I'm nowhere, right? So he says, what is the whole idea that what is the whole thing? What is the real person? What is not? What's a tzaddik? What's a holy man? Not a holy man. The more you are on the level of truth, That's holy. It's not. It's more than what you do, what you don't, what you think, what you're not thinking. What's your level of truth? How much can one fool you, and how much are you fooling yourself? Now listen. Imagine if I know the truth that I'm rotten to the core, and I really am. I'm also holy in a certain way because it's the truth. Right? Because if I'm really rotten to the core, and I know it, and it's the truth, that very truth makes me already holy, right? You know, sometimes we meet people who are bad and they smell unholy, and sometimes we meet people and there's something holy about them. Why? Because they know the truth, right? And if you know the truth, even if you don't live it, but at least you know the truth. Hey, brother. Then he says something very strong. So anyway, but you want to get close to God. If you want to get close to God, it's got to be with truth. You know, we always say, please God, purify my heart. I should serve you with truth. I can serve God with everything in the world, but if it's not with truth, I'm serving idols. You know, what's the difference between idol worship and God? Maybe idol worship is tremendous, colorful, but it's not true, right? It's just one sweet little thing missing. It's not true, right? That's all there is to it. And the whole great thing about God is not because it's colorful and it's working. Maybe it isn't working. You know, if someone were to tell you, if you believe in God, have you ever seen some religions, you know, that tell you, you'll feel secure, you'll be safe, you'll be this, you'll be this. They give you a whole list what happens to you when you join this religion. We cure the sick, we raise the dead, we pay your debts, you know. We get you a good house in a good neighborhood. I don't know what they're saying. They tell you something, right? We get you to heaven, get a ticket, you know, one way, but at least you know where you're going, you know. What? Green stamps, yeah. Holy green stamps, yeah. But, you know, the thing is, about God is not, maybe it isn't working, I don't know. Do I pray to God because I know, wow, does it help? I just run to the synagogue, you know, and just give God a little hint what I need, and does it work, you know? Then I'm taking my car washing back home, I should be there when he delivers the merchandise, you know? This isn't it. Listen to this. So strong, and a person cannot tell it to himself enough. You have to know one thing, that God is the truth. What are you looking for, you know? Are you looking to... I tell you something very strong, it's a little bit coarse, but it's very strong. The opposite of when he was saying something, the opposite is very coarse. Yom Kippur, you know? One day Yom Kippur, the Holy Option, before he became a rabbi, he was walking into the synagogue, and he saw this little holy hypocrite, and he was almost knocking off, and he was going like that, and this. And then each time he said a sin, he was almost getting more humble before God, and like this, and like this. It was a little bit coarse, but Holy Testament, you know? Finally he was standing like this. So he says, what are you so afraid of? So you'll be high, you'll be in hell. You know? Because he wasn't confessing his sins because he felt it was wrong or something. He just didn't want to burn in hell, right? He just like, be burning in hell. What do you care? Why, you're on strike? You're not sitting down, folks? Listen, for the most outstanding people, we need the strongest chairs in the world. Reb Nachman says, I like better someone who's doing wrong with truth than someone who's doing right with a lie.
Can you repeat that for
For the record.
Reb Nachman says, I like better someone who's doing wrong with truth than someone who's doing right with a lie. you have to realize one thing, there's two kinds of truth. There's the truth in my head and there's the truth in my heart, right? Very, very deep thing. The truth of my heart is, if some of you kids remember, I'm just going over it because I want you to remember it very strong. The truth of my heart is called pure. And the truth of my mind is called holy. The truth of my heart is true. It's pure enough because the heart is yearning, right? Wanting, hoping, waiting. If my heart is truthful, right? There's truth in my heart, and I'm waiting for the great thing, and I'm just ready. I'm just waiting so much. But for the truth, right? And if it's not real, my heart knows that this is bad. This isn't my merchandise I want to buy. The holiness, the truth of my mind is that my mind is so deep, again, between good and evil, everybody knows the difference. The whole thing is to know the difference between holy and more holy, between true and more true. For that you have to be holy. Just to know between good and evil, you're a good man, right? So you know this good, this bad. So you know on a higher level. This is true. It is true. Say something way out. The Kotzker Rebbe was a follower of the Sea of Lublin. Do you need higher than the Sea of Lublin? But then he realized, I have to go to the Yita Kodesh. It's more for me, That's between holy and more holy. Or let's say the holy Ishbitzer, was in Kotsk, and then he realized I got to leave. Not because Kotsk wasn't holy, but more holy. More, at this point, I need this is even deeper. The thing is, we think we have a right to ask God of minimum, Especially when it comes to spiritual things, we always ask, let's just keep me going. If you don't ask for the maximum, you're already lying. Because imagine I call up the grocery store and I say, send me one bagel and one herring. But I have 20 children. If you think of it in a very deep way, what was I doing to the grocery? I was lying. Because I really need more than one bagel, right? And I need more than one herring. If I come to God and say, give me a little bit, and I really need much more, I'm lying to God. Why don't you ask for more? Maybe God will give it to you anyway, but why are you lying? Okay. Away. I'm walking in the stage and going into kindergarten. I'd like to explain the Einstein Theory. If I really know it well, I can do it, right? Because the question is, I told you 1,000 times it was so strong, because someone said the only one who can explain kindergarten children Einstein Theory is Einstein. Because he really knows it so well, Somebody else can maybe explain it to college students, right? He knows it better, he can maybe explain it in high school, but to kindergarten kids, you got to know it completely. So listen to this. If I, mamish, know nothing about God, I know nothing about God, so I think I'll find someone who knows a little bit more. It's not true. If you really know nothing about God, you better look for the greatest, because you're on the kindergarten level. And someone has to show you where God is. The utmost, right? You better know it very well, because otherwise he won't be able to teach to you. The saddest thing is today that, especially in religious education, because we think the kids know so little, so let's get someone who knows a little bit more than they. We don't realize on the country. According to Reb Nachman, let's put it, Chassidim was very strong. Maybe you don't have to be so holy or so deep when you teach a little bit grown-ups. Comes to little kids, it's got to be the holiest. Very, very holiest and the deepest. Means Chassidim, the people who taught you the Aleph Beis, got to be the holiest. There are hundreds of stories by Chassidish Rebbes when they had children. The first few years for people to teach the kids, it's the most important. It has to be utmost. But anyway, let's say you and I know the truth, we don't know anything. So now I'm looking really want to know what God is. I cannot look for some just little thing. I gotta look for the utmost. And the strangest thing in the world is, maybe my grandfather knew a bit more about God, so he didn't need such a great teacher. But since I know less, I need a greater teacher. Now listen, I'm being very, very deep. The truth is, we have no teachers, right? God is our teacher. He really is. Who's teaching us? God. But now think of it in a very deep level. When is God showing the most that He really can teach? The lower we get, the more He shows us, I'm a top teacher. Meaning to say, like, before Mashiach is coming, the end of days, like now, Mamash, we are just really, on one hand we are so far, on one hand we are the closest. Like, what's so deep about our kids today? Because today, since we are so far and our parents really didn't teach us anything about God. So God has to teach us what He's like teaching us the deepest steps. So He says like this. How can you understand something infinite, right? You need the utmost of a holiness of a teacher to take something infinite and put it in finite words. But the holiness is that God give us permission, so to speak. He wants us. That we mamish can understand God in the strangest thing in the world. We talk about God in words in the most finite way, and it doesn't stop being infinite. Other things, not God, not holy things, they're all infinite or they're finite. The moment they're finite, they're not infinite anymore. The real thing about God is, it's finite, you talk about it, in finite words, and it doesn't stop being infinite. But for that, you need mamash a holy teacher. So he says something very deep. Whatever happens to you, what happens to you when you're sad or something goes wrong? That means at that moment you're cut off, you're finite, right? Maybe at that moment God is teaching you great things about Him, gives you a little finite light in order to get to the infinite in a deeper way. Because this is really what it's all about, right? My whole life, so many things happen to me. One moment I'm infinite, I'm mamish happy, everything goes right. One moment I'm finite. What happens to me when I'm finite? God gives me a little something to hold on to. I need the finite also because I cannot be infinite. I'm a finite creature. So this, it's very great even between people. There are moments when between me and let's say my friend, it's mamish infinite, right? Then not so much, it's a little bit finite, right? Then it's infinite again. How do I breathe, right? When I inhale, it's infinite, right? Because I'm in touch with the infinite. I'm exhaling completely fine. Well, how much do I breathe out? A little air coming out of me, right? This is always infinite, finite, infinite, finite. My whole life. But the whole thing is, don't stop breathing, right? Don't stop. Because the moment you stop, don't cut yourself off from infinite, Because the truth, even while I'm exhaling, I didn't lose touch with the infinite because I'm just inhaling in order to get some better air now, right? So in the same way, when something goes wrong with me, in my life, it's a little bit finite. Well, it's okay, What are you crechting about? What are you so sad about, You're in the middle, right? But I make a mistake. What happens? I stop being a mistake is pretty finite. This is one note, it's wrong on the piano, right? But it's a finite thing. So good. Oh, listen to something very deep. Between people, let's say when I'm infinite with people, very close, and then for a few minutes I'm not so close. When do I really know how infinite I am with people? While I'm infinite? No. While you're finite, right? When you're a little bit away, that means the truth is, I'm only tasting infinity when I'm finite, right? When do I really taste the taste of joy, right? When I'm a little bit sad, right? Because then I wish I would be happy, and I know what happiness is. So that means, while I'm finite, God is teaching me all about infinity. While I'm a little bit sad, God is teaching me all about happiness. While I'm away from my friend, I'm learning all about my friend. While I'm not learning so much, I'm learning all about learning. While I don't understand what I'm learning, I'm really learning it. You see, I'm not really learning it while I'm learning it. I'm learning it when I'm not learning it. What you have to know, he says, that all this is the secret of oneness, because the oneness of heaven and earth, earth is finite, heaven is infinite, the body and the soul, it's all the secrets, everything together. The lights and the vessels, everything, my infinite mind and my finite mind. Then he says, is there anything more finite than a little house? A little house is the most finite thing. But you can only live in a house. Because it's in the house where you get the real taste of infinity. How can you know the word if you never tasted the letter?